The human saved the alien queen. Her guards want him executed. Caleb Ross did not scream. He did not pray. He only held the control stick tight and tried to guide the burning ship away from the city lights below. Alarms shouted in a sharp alien tone, but he could not understand them. Smoke filled the small cockpit. Sparks jumped from the panels. The ship hit the ground hard. Metal screamed. The world turned upside down. Then everything went dark. For a long time, nothing moved. Then Caleb opened his eyes. Pain came first. It spread from his head to his chest and down his arms. He groaned and tried to sit up, but his body refused. The ship was broken in half. Fire burned at the far end. The night air was cold and smelled of ash. Caleb took slow breaths. He was alive. That was already a surprise. He reached for the emergency kit near his seat. His fingers shook, but he managed to pull it free. He pressed a patch against his bleeding forehead and waited until the pain eased a little. Outside, the world was quiet. This was not Earth. The sky was dark purple, filled with strange stars. Tall black plants stood around the crash site, their thin leaves moving slowly in the wind. Far away, he could see the soft glow of a city. Caleb knew where he was, not exactly, but enough. This was Vashara, an alien world, and humans were not welcome here. He had come only to trade, food supplies for rare minerals, no weapons, no soldiers, just a small civilian ship. But the border war between alien factions had spread faster than anyone expected. He pushed himself out of the wreck. His legs almost gave out, but he forced himself to stand. His left arm hurt badly, maybe broken. He tied it close to his body using a strip of cloth from his jacket. Then he heard a sound, a soft sound, weak, like someone trying not to cry. Caleb froze. He listened again. The sound came from behind a cluster of broken stones not far from the ship. He knew he should leave. Every story about Vashara said the same thing. Their people hated humans. Their soldiers showed no mercy. If they found him, he would die. But the sound came again. Someone was hurt. Caleb closed his eyes for a moment. Then he picked up the emergency med pack and walked toward the sound. Behind the stones, he found her. She was tall, taller than any human woman. Her skin was a pale silver blue, glowing faintly under the alien stars. Her long dark hair spread across the ground like spilled ink. Strange markings ran along her neck and arms, shining softly. Blood stained her side. Her eyes opened when she saw him. They were gold. Fear flashed across her face. She tried to move, but pain stopped her. Her breath was shallow, uneven. Caleb raised his good hand slowly. "It's okay," he said softly, though he knew she might not understand. "I won't hurt you." The alien woman stared at him. Her gaze was sharp, filled with anger and shock. She spoke a few words in her own language. The sound was musical but weak. Caleb did not understand the words, but he understood the meaning. Human, enemy. He knelt a few steps away, careful not to come closer too fast. "You're bleeding badly," he said. "If I don't help, you'll die." Her eyes flickered. She looked down at her wound. Blood continued to flow between her fingers. She was dying. Even she knew it. After a long moment, she lowered her hand slightly. Permission. Caleb moved closer. Up close, he could see how badly she was hurt. A deep cut across her side, burned edges. Some kind of energy weapon. Infection already setting in. This woman was important. He could tell by the fine armor broken around her shoulders, by the strange symbols on her collar. Royalty, maybe. That made this worse. Caleb worked quickly. He cleaned the wound using purified spray. She hissed in pain but did not pull away. He sealed the cut with a medical gel and pressed a stabilizing band over it. Her breathing slowed. Her eyes stayed on his face. "Why help?" she said in broken trade speech. Caleb paused. "Because you need help," he answered simply. She stared at him like she did not believe such a reason could exist. Caleb finished the treatment and leaned back, exhausted. His vision blurred for a moment, but he stayed awake. "What is your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then spoke. Lyra, Queen Lyra, he thought, though she did not say the title. "My name is Caleb," he said. For a short time they stayed like that, two enemies by birth, two strangers under a broken sky. Then the ground began to shake, heavy steps, many of them. Lyra's eyes widened in fear. She tried to stand, failed, and grabbed Caleb's sleeve. "They are coming," she whispered. Caleb turned toward the sound. Lights moved through the darkness. Armored figures ran across the field. Alien guards, dozens of them. Caleb stood slowly and raised his hands. Lights locked onto him, weapons aimed at his chest. One of the guards shouted. The others spread out, surrounding them. They saw the blood. They saw the queen on the ground. They saw the human standing beside her. Their anger was instant. "Kill him," one guard shouted. Before Caleb could speak, rough hands grabbed him. He was forced to his knees. A weapon pressed against the back of his head. "Traitor," another guard said, pointing at Caleb. "He attacked the queen." Lyra tried to speak, but her voice was weak. She coughed and blood touched her lips. "He saved me," she said. The guards froze, then they laughed. "Lies," the leader said. "Humans are liars, they kill and steal. This one will die for this crime." Caleb looked at Lyra. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. She met his eyes. "No," she said. "Not yet." The guards dragged Caleb away, binding his hands. He did not fight. He did not shout. He only watched as Lyra was lifted carefully and carried toward the city. As they pulled him across the dark field, Caleb felt pain in every step. But inside, something else burned stronger. He had saved her. Whatever happened next, that truth would not change. And somewhere deep within the alien city, a queen still lived because a human chose mercy over fear. Caleb Ross was pushed through the heavy gates of the alien city. The walls were black and smooth, stretching high into the dark sky. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the stone. The streets were empty at first, then crowded with armored figures as he was dragged toward the palace. Everywhere he looked, the city seemed alive. Lights pulsed like hearts along the towers. Floating vehicles moved silently above. The air smelled of metal and chemicals. It was a beautiful city, but it was a prison too. The guards shoved Caleb into a large chamber. The walls were cold stone, and torches burned with blue fire. He fell to his knees as the guards tightened the ropes around his wrists. Queen Lyra was already there, sitting on a high platform. She looked pale and tired, but her eyes burned gold like molten metal. She tried to speak, but Caleb could see the strain in her chest. One of the guards stepped forward, his voice deep and sharp. "This human attacked the queen. He tried to kill her. He must be executed." Caleb looked up. He said nothing. His mind worked fast. He needed to survive long enough to prove the truth. Queen Lyra spoke slowly, her voice weak but clear. "Wait." The guards froze. A few looked at each other nervously. Lyra's presence carried power. Even wounded, she commanded respect. "Let him speak," she said. Caleb swallowed. He had to be careful. "I didn't attack her," he said. His voice was calm even though his heart pounded. "I saved her. She would have died if I did nothing." The room grew quiet. Some guards murmured angrily. A few noble figures stepped forward from the shadows. They were taller and older, their eyes narrow. One of them, a tall woman with silver hair named Varus, spoke. "How can a human save a queen? They are weak. They are predators. This is impossible." Caleb lifted his head. "I know you don't trust humans," he said, "but I didn't lie. I saved her life, you can see it." Queen Lyra nodded. "He speaks the truth. He saved me." The nobles whispered among themselves. Some shook their heads. Others looked thoughtful. One of the guards, the leader named Korath, stepped forward. His armor was black and gold. "He speaks words, but actions matter. I say he is a liar. Execution is the law for such crimes." Lyra's gold eyes glowed brighter. "He risked his life to help me. The law says the queen's life is sacred. He saved it. The law must protect him." Korath's lips pressed together. He did not move, but his anger was visible. He did not like being challenged. The council of nobles began to argue. Some agreed with Lyra. Others wanted Caleb dead immediately. The tension filled the room like fire. Caleb stayed silent. He watched the queen. Her hand shook slightly as she held her side. He could see she was still in pain. He wished he could go to her, but the guards would not allow it. After a long time, the council made a decision. Caleb would not be executed immediately. Instead, he would face a trial. A trial that would decide whether he lived or died. The guards brought him to a smaller chamber, a place for questioning. Chains held him to a bench. The walls glowed faintly. A strange device hovered in the air, scanning him. Varus and Koreth both watched. "Answer carefully," Varus said. "Humans are clever. Words can hide truth." "Why should we believe you saved the queen?" Caleb met her gaze. "Because if I lied, she would be dead. If I lied, I would not be alive either. I risked my life to save her. That is the truth." Koreth laughed low and harsh. "Humans think they are heroes. They are weak, fragile, they kill when they must and run when they fear. This one is no different." Caleb's jaw tightened. He did not shout. He knew shouting would make them angry. He only said, "You can check the wounds. You can see that she would have died." Varus motioned to a guard. The guard nodded and activated a small device. It projected a hologram of Queen Lyra's injuries. The cut, the burn marks, the infection. It was clear. The nobles and guards looked. The evidence was undeniable. Caleb's calm words had been right. He had saved her life. Koreth's eyes narrowed. "A human cannot be trusted," he said. "This is a trick. The queen is weak. Soon she will die anyway, then he can be executed." Lyra's voice interrupted him. "He saved me. He did not lie. If you take him now, I will punish every one of you." The guard stiffened. Fear entered the room. Even Koreth paused. He had underestimated her will. Caleb breathed slowly. He had survived the first test. The council would not execute him yet, but he knew it was only the beginning. The next day, Caleb was brought before the full council of the alien city. Many nobles, warriors, and advisors filled the chamber. Queen Lyra was seated at the head, still weak but commanding attention. Caleb knelt before her. The council began questioning him. They asked about his intentions, his past, his home planet, and his loyalty. He answered truthfully. Nothing else would help. Lying would only make the council angry. He told them about the crash, how he found her, and how he treated her injuries. Some nobles were silent. A few whispered to each other. One young guard named Talles looked at Caleb curiously. He did not smile. He did not hate. He only watched. After hours, the council debated. Voices rose, then fell. At one point, Koreth shouted and demanded execution. At another, a noble argued that a human who saves a queen could be useful. Lyra finally stood. Her gold eyes shone like fire. "Enough," she said. "The human did not harm me. He saved me. He will not be executed. The trial continues only to understand him, not to punish him." The council fell silent. Even Koreth did not speak. Caleb felt relief for the first time. He was alive. He had survived, but he knew danger was still near. Koreth and the guards who hated him would not forget this. As he was led back to his cell, Caleb looked at Queen Lyra. She tried to smile, but her lips were pale. "Thank you," she whispered. Caleb nodded. "Don't thank me yet," he said softly. "We still have a long way to go." That night, Caleb lay on the cold stone floor. He thought about the city, the guards, and the queen. He thought about humans and aliens, enemies and allies. For the first time, he understood something very simple. Humans could survive anywhere, even where others wanted them dead. Humans could survive by being clever, by being brave, and sometimes by choosing to help others. And if he survived this, he might not only save himself but also change the fate of an alien queen and her people. The next morning, Caleb woke to the sound of alarms. The chamber where he had been kept was shaking. Blue lights flashed across the walls and guards ran back and forth, shouting orders in their alien language. Caleb stood quickly, though his arms were still sore from the ropes. He could see the worry on the guards' faces. Something had happened outside. He was led to the main balcony of the palace. Queen Lyra was there, supported by two of her aides. She looked pale but alert, her golden eyes scanning the horizon. Outside, dark shapes moved across the sky. They were not Vashara ships. Their design was different, slower, larger, and more menacing. A deep hum filled the air. "Invaders," one of the guards said. His voice trembled slightly. Caleb stepped forward. "What do they want?" he asked, though he did not expect a clear answer. Lyra shook her head. "We do not know. They strike without warning. They destroy everything in their path." Caleb studied the ships. They were heavily armed. If they attacked the city, thousands could die. He looked at the queen. She was vulnerable. Her guards could not stop everything. He made a choice. He had to act. "I can help," he said. "I know how to fight, how to use tactics. I can help your city survive." Some of the guards laughed. "You, a human, you cannot command us." Lyra stepped forward, her voice sharp. "Listen to him. He saved my life. If he says he can help, he must be heard." The council of nobles whispered. Korath's face turned red with anger. He refused to speak. He did not like being told what to do by a human. Caleb did not wait. He ran to the control room. The palace had a defense grid, old but functional. He saw screens showing the incoming ships, their weapons charged. He studied the patterns. Humans had a way of thinking differently. He spotted weaknesses in the enemy formations. He moved quickly, giving orders to the hesitant guards. At first, they resisted. A human could not tell them what to do, but when he predicted the first strike correctly, they began to follow. A beam weapon fired from one of the alien ships and hit a palace tower. Debris flew, but no one was killed. "See," Caleb shouted. "Move the shields to the north side. Fire back when I give the signal." Slowly, the guards obeyed. Caleb ran to each station, adjusting energy flow, rerouting shields, and assigning targets. The human mind worked fast. Numbers, patterns, and instinct combined. The first wave of attacks hit. The palace shields glowed bright, absorbing the enemy fire. Some sections were damaged, but the defenses held. Lyra watched from above. She could not believe what she saw. A human, an enemy, was saving her city from destruction. More ships came, faster and larger. Korath shouted, but Caleb ignored him. He called out instructions to the guards and engineers. "Use the smaller drones to hit their engines. Aim for the wings first." The guards hesitated. This was dangerous. They had never tried such a tactic, but Caleb's confidence was infectious. They followed. Explosions lit up the sky as enemy ships faltered. Some crashed into the mountains, others spun out of control. Still, many ships remained. Caleb noticed a group trying to circle behind the city. He pointed at the screens. "Reinforce the west wall. Don't let them get behind us." A few of the guards ran to adjust the shields. The drones fired, cutting down the enemy advance. Suddenly, a warning sounded. One ship was preparing to fire a massive energy cannon directly at the palace. "That will destroy everything," Caleb said. "We have seconds to stop it." He grabbed the targeting controls. His hands flew across the panels. The shields shuddered under the enemy blast, but Caleb calculated the angle. He redirected energy to the point of impact. The cannon hit the shields and sparks flew, but the palace held. The guards stared. A human had saved them from total destruction. Some of the younger soldiers, like Tally's, could not hide their amazement. The queen stepped forward. "This human, he is more than he seems," she whispered. Caleb did not look at her. He was already planning the next move. More ships were approaching, and the city could not survive another direct strike. "Focus on their engines," he yelled. "We can win if we make them crash." The guards followed quickly. Drones swooped down and attacked the alien engines. Explosions rocked the sky. One ship crashed into another. A chain reaction began. Even Korath watched in disbelief. "A human cannot do this," he muttered, but his pride prevented him from admitting it aloud. Caleb did not stop. He moved to another console, predicting enemy movements, rerouting power to shields and coordinating every counterattack. The city began to survive. The invading fleet faltered. Ships turned to flee, unable to penetrate the human's clever tactics. Finally, the last ship tried to escape, but Caleb had one more trick. He guided a drone strike directly into its engine. It exploded in a flash of light. The enemy was gone. The skies were silent again. Lyra descended from the balcony, her eyes wide with awe. You saved us all," she said. Caleb was breathing heavily. His body was sore, his arms shaking from hours of work, but he nodded. "We survived," he said. Korath stepped forward, furious. "This is impossible. A human cannot lead our forces. This is against the laws of war. You will pay for your interference." Lyra raised her hand. "He saved my city, Korath, and he saved my people. He is protected. Anyone who touches him will answer to me," the guards murmured. Even Korath did not move. He could see the truth. A human had done what they thought impossible. Caleb finally leaned against a console. He had survived battle after battle. He had proven that humans could fight with courage and cleverness. They could survive anywhere, even on alien worlds where everyone expected them to fail. That night the city celebrated quietly. Lights glowed softly. Repairs began. People whispered about the human who had saved them. Caleb did not ask for praise. He only watched the queen, who sat quietly, her gold eyes reflecting the fires of the battle. He had saved her life once before, and now, without weapons of his own, he had saved her city too. But Caleb knew the danger was not over. Korath and other enemies were still plotting. Even those who had seen his courage might not forgive a human for surviving where others failed. He rested for a moment, knowing that tomorrow the real test of trust would begin. He had proven his skill, his courage, and his loyalty. But could an alien city and a queen truly accept a human among them? Caleb did not answer yet. He only prepared. For humans, survival was never enough. They had to adapt, to fight, and to make others see their worth. And Caleb Ross was not finished, yet the city was quiet the next morning. Smoke from the battle still rose in small curls. Rubble lined the streets, and the guards worked hard to repair walls and towers. Caleb Ross did not rest. He had stayed awake all night, checking defenses, helping with repairs, and watching for any signs of another attack. He knew Korath and the other nobles would not forget the humiliation of being outsmarted by a human. Queen Lyra moved slowly through the city, supported by her aides. She passed by Caleb, her golden eyes softening as she looked at him. "You should rest," she said. Caleb shook his head. "We are not safe yet," he said. "They may come again, and Korath, he will try something." Lyra nodded. "I will watch him, but you must not put yourself in danger alone." Caleb smiled faintly. "Humans survive danger, we adapt, we fight." The queen looked at him closely. She had seen that truth in the battle yesterday. Humans were different, brave, clever, and unafraid. She had never seen anyone like him. Suddenly, alarms rang again. Sharp, urgent. Guards ran past Caleb, shouting orders in their alien language. He followed them to the city walls. Scouts had spotted enemy forces approaching, this time on the ground. Smaller ships and squads of soldiers were moving fast, trying to take the city by surprise. "We can't stop them all," one guard said, panic in his voice. Caleb did not wait. He ran toward the nearest gate, where a group of young soldiers struggled to prepare defense weapons. He grabbed a panel and started working. "Move the shields this way, aim the cannons over here, cover the east wall." The guards hesitated. A human telling them what to do was strange, but Caleb's confidence and speed left no choice. They followed. Enemy soldiers charged through the gates. The city's gates shook under their weight. Caleb shouted directions, helping the alien guards aim weapons, block paths, and trap attackers. He ran into the streets with a small group of guards. They needed someone to coordinate their defense on the ground. Caleb moved quickly, dodging strikes, pulling wounded soldiers to safety and directing counterattacks. He noticed Korath among the enemy ranks. The noble had somehow escaped into the chaos, sneaking through shadows. His face was red with anger. Caleb understood immediately Korath was trying to kill him. He grabbed a short energy rifle from a nearby guard. He had never fired one before, but humans learned fast. He aimed and shot carefully. Korath's soldiers fell back. Korath disappeared into an alley. The battle raged on. Caleb ran through the streets, dodging fire, pushing soldiers out of the way, and leading attacks against the enemy. Each move he made saved lives. One group of enemy soldiers was about to enter the palace courtyard. Caleb pushed a barrel into the doorway, trapping them until the guards arrived. A squad of young aliens tried to flee. Caleb shouted at them, forcing them to fight. They did not want to, but when they saw his calm and courage, they obeyed. Humans had a strange power, courage that inspired others. Queen Lyra watched from the balcony. Her heart raced as she saw Caleb moving in the chaos. He was not a soldier, but he acted as if he were. His bravery gave her hope. The battle continued for hours. Caleb moved like a storm through the city, saving civilians, protecting wounded soldiers, and guiding attacks. His human mind thought differently. He saw paths and weaknesses the alien guards missed. Finally, the enemy began to retreat. Many had fallen, and those remaining ran when they saw the humans' clever traps. The city survived another attack, but Korath had not given up. He had slipped inside the palace while the battle raged. His face twisted with anger and determination. He moved toward Caleb's temporary command post. Caleb did not notice him at first. He was helping a group of wounded soldiers when Korath struck from the shadows, aiming a blade at Caleb's back. Caleb felt the movement, just in time. He twisted, caught the blade on his forearm, and threw Korath to the ground. The metal cut him, but he did not scream. He fought with speed and strength, throwing Korath back against a wall. The noble was strong, but Caleb's reflexes were faster. He grabbed a loose pipe and used it to push Korath out of the doorway, preventing the attack. Korath shouted, furious, but Caleb stood firm. "I don't want to kill you," he said, "but I will defend myself, and I will defend this city." Korath glared, then disappeared into the shadows again. Caleb knew the noble was still plotting, but for now the threat was stopped. Queen Lyra came down the stairs, moving slowly, but her eyes were sharp. She stopped beside Caleb. "You saved everyone again," she said. Caleb shook his head. "I didn't do it alone," he said. "Your guards helped, your people helped, I just pushed the right buttons." Lyra smiled faintly. She had seen the truth. Humans could inspire courage. They could fight in ways aliens never imagined. After the battle, Caleb moved through the city checking for survivors. He helped the wounded, reassured the frightened, and patched small fires. Everywhere he went, people whispered his name. Some guards looked at him differently now. Respect, even admiration. Tally's, the young guard who had watched him before, nodded at Caleb. It was a silent thank you. But Caleb knew the danger was not over. Korath and other enemies still lived. They would try again, and the city was fragile. That night Caleb sat on the palace balcony looking at the quiet city. Fires burned low and the sky was filled with stars. Lyra joined him, still pale from her injuries but alert. "Humans are different," she said softly. "We thought you weak. We thought you selfish. But you are brave, clever, and kind. You saved lives that no one thought could be saved." Caleb looked at her. "Humans survive, we adapt, we fight. That is all we know." Lyra smiled faintly. "And now we owe a debt to a human, a debt that changes everything." Caleb did not answer. He only watched the stars. The city had survived. The queen was alive. And he had proven that humans could stand where others failed, could fight where others feared, and could survive against impossible odds. But he knew this was only the beginning. Korath and his allies would not forget, and the next threat might be worse. He prepared himself quietly, knowing that when the time came, he would fight again. Humans never gave up. Humans never stopped. And Caleb Ross was a human who would not stop, no matter what. The night was quiet, but in Caleb's mind the battle continued. He was ready. He always was. The city was quiet again, but Caleb Ross knew the danger had not ended. Korath and his allies were still alive. and their anger had grown deeper after the last battle. Caleb spent the morning helping repair the city. Walls, gates, and towers were patched and strengthened. He moved through the streets, giving instructions to the young guards and civilians who were learning quickly. Humans were adaptable, and Caleb used every trick he knew to make them stronger. Queen Lyra moved slowly beside him. Her golden eyes watched the people she ruled and then turned to Caleb. "You are unlike any human I have heard about," she said. "You saved my life and my city." "Yet you still put yourself in danger," Caleb shrugged. "Humans survive, we fight. We help when it matters, that is all we know." Lyra nodded. She had come to understand him. Humans were different, brave, clever, and loyal. They could survive where aliens would fail, and they could inspire courage in others. That evening, the palace received a warning. Korath had gathered a small group of loyal soldiers, planning an assassination. He intended to kill Caleb quietly, blaming him for any future disasters. Caleb was alerted by Tallis, the young guard who had watched him closely before. "They are coming," Tallis whispered. "Korath, he will not stop." Caleb's mind worked quickly. He could feel the human instinct for survival sharpening. He prepared traps and alarms in the corridors of the palace. He moved silently, watching shadows and listening for any sound of movement. Late at night, Korath and his small force slipped into the palace. They moved like ghosts through the halls, careful to avoid the guards. Korath's eyes were red with anger. He had failed before, and he would not fail again. Caleb waited in the main hall. He could hear their footsteps. He moved to the edge of a shadow, ready. He was not afraid. Humans never were. The first soldier appeared. Caleb acted fast. He tripped a wire connected to a small alarm which caused a heavy net to fall and trap the man. Korath cursed but kept moving. He knew Caleb would be waiting. He had underestimated him before. Caleb stepped out of the shadows. "It ends tonight, Korath," he said calmly. "Your plans will fail." Korath lunged at him, blade raised. Caleb sidestepped and used the soldier's own momentum to push him into the wall. The blade clanged loudly, but Caleb caught it with his hands. The fight was fast and brutal. Humans fought differently than aliens. They used speed, leverage, and clever moves instead of brute strength. The other soldiers rushed to help Korath, but Caleb had already prepared for them. Alarms and nets fell. Some soldiers were trapped. Others hesitated. Caleb moved with precision, striking only when necessary. Finally, only Korath remained. He was cornered in the main hall. Sweat ran down his face. Anger and fear mixed in his eyes. Caleb held the blade to his chest. "It's over," he said. "You can give up or you can die." Korath's shoulders dropped. He knew he had lost. He could not fight a human who had survived so much and protected a city that hated him at first sight. "Release him," Lyra's voice echoed from above. She had followed quietly, watching the fight. Her presence was commanding. "He is under my protection. No one will harm him." Caleb lowered the blade. Korath was led away, humiliated but alive. The queen's authority had protected him. In the days that followed, the city began to recover fully. The walls were repaired, the wounded healed, and the citizens whispered about the human who had saved them twice, once from invasion and once from assassination. Caleb did not seek power. He did not ask for rewards. He only walked beside Queen Lyra, giving advice, helping strengthen defenses and training guards. Humans could survive anywhere, but Caleb wanted to make sure the people he had saved could survive too. The Council of Nobles met again. This time, they did not argue. They could not deny the truth. A human had saved the queen, led the defense of the city, and stopped Korath's plan. Humans were no longer just outsiders, they could be allies. Lyra addressed the council. "Humans are different from what we believed. They are brave, loyal, and clever. This human has proven that he is not a threat but a protector. We will recognize humans as allies, not enemies." The council murmured. Some nodded. Others, like Korath, remained silent, but the truth was clear. A human had changed their minds forever. Caleb watched from the palace steps as the city celebrated. Fires burned softly, music echoed, and people thanked the guards who had survived. Some looked at him with respect and awe. He did not smile. He only observed quietly. Lyra approached him. "You could stay here," she said. "You could take a place beside me as protector of the throne." Caleb shook his head. "Humans do not belong to one place. I can protect you, but I must go home. My work is done here." The queen studied him, her gold eyes thoughtful. She understood. Humans were free in ways aliens could not imagine. They moved, adapted, and survived. She had seen this firsthand. "Go then," she said softly. "But know this, you have changed the fate of my people and my city." "They will remember you forever," Caleb nodded. He turned toward his ship. The palace guards watched silently. Some bowed slightly, acknowledging the human who had risked everything for them. As he left the planet, Caleb looked back at the city. The lights glowed like stars beneath the dark sky. Queen Lyra stood on the balcony watching him leave. She did not wave. She did not call. She only watched. Humans were strange, unpredictable, and brave. They fought differently, survived differently, and sometimes they changed the world simply by acting when others were afraid. Caleb's ship lifted into the sky. The city became smaller beneath him, but the memory of what had happened would last forever. Humans had shown that courage and cleverness mattered more than strength and tradition. He thought of the queen, the guards, and the city. He had risked his life, and he had won. Not for power, not for reward, but because humans helped when it mattered most. And somewhere in the hearts of aliens who had once hated him, respect had grown. They would not forget the human who saved a queen, fought a city to survive, and proved that humanity could thrive anywhere, even among the stars. Caleb pressed a button to set course for home. The stars stretched endlessly ahead. He smiled faintly. Humans survived, humans adapted, humans fought, and sometimes humans saved entire worlds. And Caleb Ross was one of them. The end.